He wants to go
It
home.
is. He wants to go home. It's like me. Okay, why don't you tell us who you are and a little bit about what programs you're involved in.
Okay, I'm David Wiley. I work with the Title IV program and the Johnson O'Malley program, which we call the Indian Education Program for the Ardmore Public School Systems in Ardmore, Oklahoma.
Okay. How are the programs that you work with, David, organized, and how are they funded?
Well, the programs are funded by the Title IV 92318 program for the Indian students that can prove that they are part Indian, and the Johnson O'Malley programs, which are designed for those Indian students that are 1/4 Indian or more.
Okay. And what do the programs that you work with do specifically?
Okay, the programs that I work with specifically, I'm a homeschool coordinator for the Indian Education Program. We have several different areas that we work with. We have a health service, we have a school nurse, we have educational aid for the students, a tutorial program. We have the program that by providing teachers' aides in the developmental center and in the early childhood center. And then we have a cultural program. We have arts and crafts that are after school, generally at night, 4 nights a week.
Okay. What would you say has been the effect of the programs that you have worked on in terms of the Indian students that you work with?
Well, my personal involvement mainly is in the area of working directly with the students in their relations with their school and home. I will visit with the teachers and see how the students are doing. If a student or a parent calls our office and lets us know that a student's having problems, then I will visit with the student to see what he feels his problem is, what help he needs. Then I will visit with the parent and visit with the teacher and administrator of the building that the student is located at, and then we'll try to work out some kind of a workable solution where we can get that student involved in the classroom and producing to his own level.
Okay. Now let me ask you a little bit about that curriculum that we were talking about earlier. Now that's a whole different thing, isn't it?
Yes, we have a Native American curriculum that we are trying to get implemented into our school system. It has been funded through a grant to the University of Oklahoma. We had Anita Chisholm come down and work with our people. Now, I wasn't directly involved in the writing of the curriculum. We had another person that was involved in our program that chaired this committee. We had teachers involved that were employed through the school system. I believe we had 3 Indian people, we had 3 white people, and we had 1 black person that worked on the committee. Now, I know that I look around and
you
everything.
did fine. You were right on the camera. You were doing real well.
Looks real good.
And that's why I stand behind the camera and ask you the questions, because you're talking to people that are out here.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you just tell us about how this program got started in terms of how it was developed? Of course, that's one of the problems. If you don't have a curriculum, it's difficult to institute these kinds of things.
Right. Okay. We were approached by the University of Oklahoma to see if we would be interested in developing a curriculum for Native American students. And our administration was receptive to the idea, and they approved our program to go ahead with such a curriculum study, and they allowed us the use of 7 of the faculty of the Ardmore school system for 1 day a week, half a day, for 1 semester. We originally met and decided what parts of the curriculum that we would be interested in. The first studies that we had were designed, aimed really at just the Indian student, but after we got to looking at it, we didn't know whether this would be acceptable or not, because we have about a 10% Indian population in our school system, and after a little bit of time we decided that we might try to do something that would benefit all of the students, and it would be easier to sell to the teachers that they could aim this at any of their students. They could give them a background of what the Indian students had to look forward to out of their own culture and heritage. We have a counseling program written mainly for the counselors as a guide in their dealings with the Indian students of the Ardmore system. Now, again, I might point out that most of our curriculum was designed for the students that are in our area. It wasn't designed for somebody else's situation. Now, we have a government program. We talked about what the role of the woman was in the Chickasaw Nation Society. We have a home economics part in that we dealt mainly with the cooking, with those dishes that were Chickasaw in origin. We do have a section on poetry. Now, we had ran a contest. The lady that was involved in the poetry section ran a contest, and I believe it was a nationwide contest, and she published the poems that she received, and we're using that as part of our text.
What about games?
Okay, we do have some games that were aimed at the elementary students. Now, a big part of our curriculum is aimed at the K through 5 student. We feel like that we can involve those students more readily than we can the secondary and junior high age students. We have a part of our curriculum that is aimed at the secondary student, but a large part of it is aimed at the elementary student. They will seem to get involved into the class work a little easier, and we felt that the teachers, being a self-contained unit in Ardmore, that they can incorporate what we have to offer fairly easy into their own schedules.
How do you recommend, or what sort of alternatives does the teacher have in incorporating some of these materials into their class? And why don't you speak first to the secondary level and then to the elementary level? Okay,
the main thing that we have for the secondary level is the government class, and we feel that the role of the woman in the society. It's designed as a mini class situation where that if a teacher feels that what we have to offer is going to benefit their own situation, that they can incorporate it at any time during the school year that they feel appropriate. And again, we do have a couple of classes at our high school that are minority culture classes, and we hope that they will incorporate what we have to offer into their class situation. And I know that the teachers that I've talked to have been real receptive to the idea. Matter of fact, they're kind of at a loss as to what they can use for their own classes. I know that they would like to incorporate something about the Native Americans. They have something about the blacks, but as far as having curriculum background and material, there's not that much around, and this is one reason why that we've sat down and written the program that we have written.
Okay. Hold on just a
What are the elements?
second. Hold on just a second.
All right,
Okay, now why don't you tell us a little bit more about the units?
The flexibility. That's
Right.
I used to teach, and I'm very impressed by any type of materials that have been prepared for in-class use by the teacher. And one of the things that I always used to find was is flexibility and being able to implement it into your own class curriculum with a minimal amount of disruption.
Okay. The idea that we used when we set this up was by incorporating teachers to help write the material, that they would understand what a teacher would be looking for in the use of the materials. So in each of the modules that we've set up, we have set the goals that we would like to accomplish, we've set the objectives, and we've given activities that the teacher can follow. We feel like that if they want to use it exactly the way that we have, that they can take just exactly what we have, follow it as a teaching plan, and they can incorporate it into their own class situation. We also feel that if they want to incorporate their own ideas, that our plan is flexible enough that they can do whatever they want to, that they can involve their students into the class projects, the programs that we have. As a matter of fact, in the cooking and things like this, the poetry sections, we feel like that they probably will want to cook some of the Indian dishes that we have recipes for, that they may want to try a poetry contest such as we did. But again, it's flexible. A teacher can use just whatever parts of it that they wish, any or all of it, and we feel that they will benefit not only their own classroom, but the students that are in the classroom.
How many of these curriculum projects have been accomplished so far? And you said now there was one done for the Mississippi Choctaw. Are there any others?
Yes, there are several schools around the state of Oklahoma that have been approached by the University of Oklahoma to write projects involving different Indian cultures, different Indian tribes. We here at Ardmore chose the Chickasaw Nation. Ida Bell chose the Choctaws, and we're very concerned with the Choctaws for the simple reason that we have a high number of Mississippi Choctaws that live in the Ardmore area. So the two basic Indian groups that live here are the Chickasaws and Mississippi Choctaws. We do have at Ardmore Carter Seminary, which has approximately 120 Indian students that reside here that do go to the Ardmore Public Schools, and they are not basically Chickasaws or Choctaws. They could be, but it's not necessary. The students that they get, I believe, are from the southeast fourth of the state, so there are several different tribes that those students could come from. But go ahead.
Let me ask you one more question about the curriculum. When it's used in a classroom, now you're talking in terms of a classroom population where it's around 10%. Is the curriculum structured for just use with Indian children, or is it structured so that a teacher could use it with all the students?
Well, we hope that it's going to be used with all of the students. We would like to educate the students that are non-Indian to the basic heritage and cultures of the Indian students that we have. We'd like to introduce them to just what our Native American students, what their background is, and maybe gain a little more understanding in that.
Well, let me ask you a corollary question to that one. I think it's clear on the face of it the advantage of educating non-Indian people about the tribal organization, cultural heritage, and other aspects of Native American life. But what sort of advantage do you think that this sort of educational program would have for the Indian student per se?
Well, being an Indian myself, I would think that the largest thing is for us to instill a matter of pride in the students. We want to be proud of the fact that they are Indian. And in any situation, if you're proud of what you are, you're going to do a better job in whatever your endeavors are. And this is one thing we'd like to instill in all of our students, is the fact that they are proud that they are Indian.
Mm-hmm. It's one thing to prepare a curriculum. It's another thing to get it used. Tell us a little bit about the process that you're going through at the moment in getting this curriculum cleared for use in the schools, both from the point of view of, say, the superintendent of schools and the teachers, and also from the point of view of the tribal organizations.
Okay. We have our curriculum program that we're trying to sell, and I guess sell is a good word because that's basically what we're doing, to the Board of Education of Ardmore Public Schools, and we have received their approval. The superintendent has given us his permission to proceed at what we're doing. I think that, in anything you start at the top and work down, and we started at the top, and our superintendent, Mr. Perrin, is very receptive to the idea of working in the cultural areas with our Indian students. Before we will implement anything, we want to get the approval of the Indian parents in the community. We want their blessing with what we're doing. We are going to have them review all of our materials that will be used. We will ask them to delete anything that they feel shouldn't be used. And if they have any additions to what we have, we'd be very receptive to that. Now, there were Indian parents that were involved in some of the resource materials. Matter of fact, I think a large part of it was through parents and through publications from from the Chickasaw tribe.
Okay. Would you say just a little bit more, David, about what you think the net effect of instituting this kind of educational material in public schools might be in terms of the long-run benefits to Indian people and in terms of the long-run benefits to the total society?
Well, I think that the biggest effect that we could have would be to educate not only the Indian students but the other students as just to what an Indian student is, just exactly what his background is. If they have a little better understanding of not only the Indian student for himself but the other students for the Indian student, then I think we'll have a chance that our students will be able to go out into the world and be able to be accepted and be able to be a contributing part of it. And when he goes, we want them to go out, not with their head bowed, but with it, held high.
The thing I was thinking about is that we'll just take a shot of this, and then we'll cut that in when we get to the point. The other thing I want to get a shot of is the poetry book.
Yeah.
If
Because we'll have a copy of
Mm-hmm.
it. Okay, Joan, can you give us your name and tell us a little bit about the programs you're involved in?
I'm Joan Schumann, and I'm employed from Ardmore High School on the Title IV program to teach at Carter Seminary. I teach English 3 nights a week and art 1 night a week.
Okay, now when you say you teach these courses at night, what sort of an arrangement is there for teaching courses at night? Are these in addition to the regular school curriculum that the kids go to?
The art is, but the English is just, we help them with programs and the assignments they've already been assigned by their regular teachers, helping them understand their assignments and helping them with the problems they have with them. And then on Wednesday night we have an art class that we introduce new things to them and show them new ideas to help create more things.
What sort of benefits do you think that programs like this have for Indian children? Or let me ask you one question first. Do you work strictly with the kids from the seminary, or do you work with kids from the surrounding area as well?
Strictly from Carter Seminary on the tutoring of English. We have a few that come in from the surrounding areas in the art, but very few there. Mostly Carter Seminary kids.
Mm-hmm. What sort of benefits do you think derive from things like this, say when you're working with the kids, to them?
Well, I feel like that them better understanding their culture and things will help them get along better in the world to present themselves to other people. I'm part Indian, and I know growing up that I had some problems with being accepted by other people, and I feel like that we can show them where we had our problems and help them to cope with this. I feel like that if they know the reason why they're doing things, and if they can show the other people that's not Indian blood things that they can do, is, you know, show them that their Indian culture is beautiful in the art aspect anyway. The beautiful rugs they can weave, and the basket weaving, and making the God's eyes, and the meaning behind each thing that they do. We're trying to make mosaics and mobiles and things, and each one we encourage them to look up and research their heritage so they can put symbols on these things from their actual tribe, that they can show the world, you know, that they have something to offer.
Do you have any sort of feedback from the parents of the children at the seminary here in terms of how the kids are receiving this information, or maybe what effect it has on the parents?
Well, I don't get to speak with any of the parents, but I know at the school, I'm doing my practice teaching at middle school now, and I feel like that the Carter kids are doing real well.
About some of the projects the kids are doing, and sort of how you get them into it. I think a teacher would be interested in finding out how you introduce these things.
Well, having the advantage of being with them in their dorms, where I talk with them what things they'd like to do, and see what they're most enthused about, and then we work on those things. So far we've been trying to do the Indian arts, because we're going to have these upcoming contests, the CCS and the 5 Civilized Tribes contest, and we're trying to do, you know, drawings and using pencil paint and watercolors and different media there. And we've done some salt ceramics and paper mosaics and seed mosaics. But we're going to do some mobiles, and some basket weaving, and the God's eyes. We've done some God's eyes. We're going to do some more interest in that. And we're going to try to put the beadwork with the bead craft onto the God's eyes, and try to bring some of the different little departments together. We're going to do some macrame hanging things and put the ceramic Indian-styled pots in them, so they can kind of have a progression of craft there.
Now, and why do you think it's important to learn a little bit? Of course, you did say something about that earlier, but just tell me about your own personal experience, why you got involved in this program.
Well, I love to work with children, and especially Indian children, because I feel like they need the love of someone that cares about them, and that'll help them and feel for them. I work in New Mexico with some of the Zuni and Hopi and Navajo, and then when I really felt like that's when I really wanted to be a teacher and help and work with the Indian kids. And then when I came back home to Ardmore, well, I expressed this feeling to Mrs. Gavar that's employed at Carter Seminary, and when this opening came, well, she told me about it. And, yeah, I mean.
Right. What would you say about the young Indian people going into education, working either in the general public education area or working in their own tribal education system?
Well, I think it's good. I think it helps them to understand their own culture. It helps them to learn as well as teaching the kids about their culture. And if the teacher can learn and instill it into her students, then it'll make the world better, maybe.
Give us your name and tell us a little bit about the project that you're active in.
Betty Jean Watson. I'm chairman of the Johnson O'Malley Indian Education Committee. Under our Johnson O'Malley program, we have the TOR program, and developmental teacher's aid, kindergarten teacher's aid, and the enrichment program. And we have parents of twin daughters that participate in this program, and we go and visit the programs that they are involved in, not only our children, but the other children that are in the program also.
Okay, I'm Alice Watson. I'm chairperson of the Title IV, and we've been working together since we've put the two programs together, the Title IV and Johnson O'Malley. And
well, under Title IV, we have enrichment program and the TOR program, and we have remedial reading, which starts tomorrow night for about 30 students that are having difficulty in their reading part of their education. And we feel like having this program, and they can understand their reading, it will help them to achieve a higher academic level in other subjects. And how he and I became involved in this is that we are parents of Indian children, and we visited with other parents in this community, and we had our meeting.
Tell me a little bit about the first visit about the Chickasaw class. I think that's good.
The language?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, just tell us, you told me over here, you know, you were going to the Chickasaw class.
Oh.
Tell me how you heard about and got involved in this class.
Well, the Chickasaw class, and my husband Ellis is the chairman of an Indian powwow club here, and the parents of the community wanted to learn the Choctaw language, and Mr. Sam Postoke and his wife are Choctaw people that teaches this language, and so we contacted both of them and asked them would they meet with us and teach us the language, and he was just overexcited. So he and she both would come, and we would meet at the Chamber of Commerce, the conference room, and first we started out in a small room. The classes got so large, we changed rooms, and all ages attended, from third grade on up to adult, and we had teachers. We had a teacher from Wilson to come. She was interested she wasn't Indian, but she was interested in learning the Choctaw language. So each time we had a meeting, we had classes once a week. And parents and children and anyone in the community that was interested would come and attend the Choctaw class. And he didn't charge a fee, but each one would take a donation for his traveling expenses because he lived about 15 miles out in the country. And so each one would donate what he could, and those that didn't, that was still fine. But he taught us at his own free will.
Now tell me a little bit about how you found out about the Johnson O'Malley and the Title IV.
Well, there was an advertisement in the newspaper, and it was on the same night of our Choctaw classes, and it says a special call meeting, parents of Indian children of the Ardmore School District. And it was to happen at the same time we were having our Choctaw classes, which started at 7 p.m. And so we skipped our Choctaw classes and met with the school administrator here in Ardmore. And he informed us that we were to hold a special call meeting and have an election of the Indian parents. We would elect 5 people from our district to be on the committee, and then we would choose our chairman, co-chairman, and secretary, and then there would be 2 members. And then from there we would meet with the Indian people of our community again and see what the needs of the children were, and see how the parents felt about the program. At first they were hesitant to get involved. So the committee visited the parents in the community, and the people that we didn't know we met and became acquainted with them and explained to them what we were trying to do. And then we asked them what their children's needs were, what they felt like, the type of programs that need to be set up. And from there, the committee would hold a special call meeting, and each one, or sometimes even each of the committee would meet a parent downtown on the grocery store or on the street and mention it to them and say, what are your children's needs? And the one major thing that really came up was they needed assistance in their studies. Like when they went home and they did their homework, they would come up against a problem that they couldn't solve. The parents feel they couldn't because the teaching is different now. They needed a school program. But we need someone centrally located so we can go to them and have them explain what we're having problems with. And then tomorrow when we go to class, we'll know what we're talking about. So that was one of the major needs that was requested by the parents and the students, was having someone to help them in their assignments when they didn't understand.
Why do you think it would be useful if you were picking out someone to do that sort of work? Why do you think it would be useful to have a person who was an Indian?
For the tutorial program?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they feel more at ease with the person that's of their own tribe. And they get more involved. But when they're non-Indians, our Indian student seems to hesitate.
A lot of the kids, still speak their own native languages at home, and when they get out, when they first start in the school, that's going to be hard to break, going from the Indian language into the English language. So therefore you find that it's easier for an Indian-speaking person or an Indian person to go into the home and find out these things. That's how we got our involvement was. We need to find out what was going on, what would need to be done. So we took up from there, and then that's what Johnson O'Malley and the Title IV has been doing here, finding out what the needs of the kids in this school district, in this area. And so far, we've done a pretty good job, I think.
Tell me a little bit about the cooperation, Alice, with the school system. How has that worked out?
Cooperation from the Indian community has been real good because we have held meetings, and most of them come down and see what we need to know from them, and they give us all those information we need about their children, and they really cooperate in that way. And but some people are still shy. Like I said, the adults are shy just as well as the kids are. So that's what our involvement still stands, just like before. And the kids need to start earlier in the age to keep them, getting stage frights and things like that. So you find that if we talk to the parents, then they'll tell us all these things. And that's how we find out.
How about cooperation from the school system here in Ardmore?
We have a real good cooperation from the school system. They give us all hands every time the committee needs to meet for different things, Well, they'll meet with us, and they really do cooperate real well.
Now, you said something. Go ahead.
Well, the school administrator, he informs us how much it's going to cost. We come to him with our needs, and he fills us in with the cost of the programs and how much material is going to be needed. He does all that for us. He supplies us with all the how much we're going to set up. If we have so much money, he tells us he informs us how many classes we can have at such like for a tutorial program. If it was $6 an hour, we can have it for two hours a evening. He does all the technical work for us, and he's been real cooperative. Only thing he wants to know is which fund it's coming from.
Yeah, and you said something earlier too. It sounded like made a lot of sense to me. You said that you were able, that you started off and you weren't able to work the two programs together, and you had some competition within the programs. But tell me a little bit about how you handle that.
Well, at first, Johnson O'Malley, it was only for the students that were 1/4 Indian or more. and your Title IV were for students that were less than the fourth, and this is something that the parents couldn't understand, was that our Johnson O'Malley students could participate in both programs, and that kind of caused some confusion there, because our Johnson O'Malley students were eligible for the Title IV program as well as the Johnson O'Malley, whereas the Title IV student was only eligible for what was set up under the Title IV program.
How'd you solve it, brother?
Well, we met with the state administrator, the assistant state administrator for Indian education, and explained to him what we would like to do is that we'd like to set up programs where the Indian student that is participating wouldn't need to know what part he could take part of, but making the two programs together. It was both Indian students, and so if the classes were where the Indian that was less than a fourth could participate, then why couldn't he go at the same time? Because we're paying that teacher one fee, and if he could take care of both groups, then both groups could go. And he said he didn't see why we couldn't do that, but before the chairman didn't see eye to eye, and I have been a chairman since it started, they couldn't understand what I was trying to explain. And last year we had a lot of confusion, but finally expressing to the committee, the parents and the committee, what we would like to see happen here. Well, then they elected my husband as the chairman, and so he and I both, and the parents that were, participating in the voting, decided that this was the best method, where all the students could go to either program, because we're paying that instructor one flat fee, where he could participate in all the programs that was here in this school district. And so the parents seemed to be real happy about that when we were able to accomplish that.
Seems to be a more efficient way to run the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because it was costing us double money when it was separate.
You were talking a little bit earlier about some of the cultural kinds of things that have been done in this program and through this program, the dance activities and things like that. Could you tell us a little bit about those? First of all, just something about what is being done, and secondly, what kind of effect do you think this sort of thing has on the kids?
On the Chickasaw dance, I think we started about 2 years ago in teaching the little ones the rhythm of the drums, songs, how to dance, how many different type dances there were, and what the dances really meant, how it's come about, and we are getting this, and the kids are learning. They learn from listening to the head singers sing these songs, and we explain to them what the song is all about. It's not just a chant, or it's not just a drum beat. It's the rhythm, and the chant has a meaning to it. It's about something. And like we have touched, for instance, the corn dance they do. Well, the corn dance, that's the summer time when the spring season, you plant your seeds and things. So the Indians are happy about it, and they do a dance about it. And then we got another one. We've got the snake dance, which sometime or other they said the snake that kills the bugs and things, so it helps them on the crop. So they dance about the snake. And we got many other songs that comes along like that. Well, the kids are learning these things. Well, they never, before they wouldn't have known these. They might have heard a chant here and there, but they wouldn't realize that chant meant something. But it does. It really means something. It has a meaning to it. And then rhythm, you got to learn how to dance, and as far as dancing is good, pretty good athletic fitness. And anyway, everywhere you go, you get something out of it. And even the kids are getting more enjoyment out of it, because you see the adults do it, and the kids are doing it now, and they just can't wait to when we're going to have a dance. So we don't have no problem with them saying, well, let's get ready and go. Well, they're ready to go. And
what do you think participating in tribal activities like that, or in activities that are identified with their own history and their own heritage, What effect do you think that has on the kids at this stage, besides the physical activity and everything?
Well, I think it has a good effect. They get to learn about what the great parents had to come through, through life, and this way maybe when he grows up, he won't have to go through the worst part of it that was being done, So maybe he can find a better method of getting ahead. Just like in the old days, we didn't have a heating system as we do today. We didn't have a cook stove like we do today. But they learned to live in the old days, but they're here, and today they got a new way of living, so they get to learn both things. I think they're much ahead, and probably more ahead than I am, because I haven't learned too much of you.
Pretty well. Did you have anything to say about that? About what effect you think this program has?
Well, during our conversation with our community, the Indian people of our community, we asked them what should our programs consist of, and this cultural part of it, the dancing. We take an inventory of how many students we would have involved. And when they first began, we didn't have enough money. That the instructor that will be working with students later, you will meet him, he donated his time in the beginning, and they started in the backyard. The classes began to get so big, then the students wanted it in the programs that were in school. And after one summer there, it was real hot. They did it out under the shade trees, but the instructor worked with them continually. And in the fall, we had a special recognition for all the students that participated. And then from there, the adults began to get interested in it also. But our children started the Choctaw Chickasaw dancing. They were at it 2 years before the adults took up from there. But they still like to see our little folks get out there and put on their performances. And it seems to break the shyness away, among our Indian students that participate. At first, they kind of held back, but now when it comes to performance time, they're all in line ready to go. So another thing, it seemed like it motivated them to participate more in other activities that were set up for them. After they began to get involved and they became acquainted with more of the students, well, then you have more students taking part. Whereas when you first started, they kind of hesitate, but now everybody knows everyone. And the cultural part of it, I know I've listened to the stories that were told to the children. Mr. Beaver was part of the cultural program, and he showed them sign languages at one of our schools. And when they informed me what time he was going to meet with the children, I went and attended the classes. And you would be really surprised. These were for non-Indians also. They just take a grade at a time, and he would demonstrate the dances and the songs in his language, And they really were interested in our Indian culture. They were surprised that we had such different types of programs, cultural, that they weren't familiar with. And as I sat and observed the children, the non-Indians as well as the Indian child was really benefiting from it.
I think this program has done a great deal for the Indian children since the TIG program got started here in Ardmore. I've had quite a feedback from different people, and I asked them about what they in turn thought about what the program has done for them, and I get a good response. They're saying it's doing real good. So I'm pretty sure that these two programs have meant real lot to the city of Ardmore. And the kids are really getting out and learning things that they haven't thought that we had this kind of program before. And I'm really proud that we have this program here in Ardmore.
Would you like to see this program continued and maybe expand or go up into high school and through high school now? Do you think that would have some good effect?
And would stop for a second.
Think about that question for a minute. This is another thing.